Rania, I met you. We did a Christmas story podcast thing, right? And you were one of the few that jumped in there, and I'm glad you did because then we were able to talk thereafter and realize that you have a journey that you can share with others, and it would help them navigate through whatever they're going through. That they're experiencing it because of whatever's going on at home, and you can share that journey with them and they can know they can navigate through that as well. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of this, and hopefully that one person can hear this and can have a guide to go through it. So, Rania, if you don't mind just starting off with who you are, where you are, and what you're most passionate about today.
Boy, that was a loaded question, John. Okay, let me try.
I give it
First,
to a bunch of people, so enjoy it.
first, let me say thank you for having me on your show. And it was my pleasure meeting you just not too long ago on the Christmas podcast story, if I remember what it was called,
Hmm.
and meeting the lovely people that were there. The podcasting community is very interesting. And today I get to sit back and relax and not be the host. I'm just being the one on the hot seat to be asked the
Hmm.
questions. So it's my pleasure. Yeah, so I'm Rania. I am from Toronto, Canada. I immigrated here when I was a little girl. My parents moved here with my sister and just kind of grew up in this world from an Arabic background, which was, I would say, has a huge role to play in where I am and the woman that I show up today. So if people don't know the Arabic culture, there's a little bit of overprotectiveness with a little bit of limitations. So me being the Rania that I am, I was the rebellious person who had to break all the rules and question all, where did this come from and why do we have to do it like that? And of course, there was the culture shock, right, of coming from this background to a more westernized, open minded background. So there were battles there that I had to fight for many years to come after that. The reason why I mention it is because it was the foundation of the work that I'm now doing. Um, my journey, you were trying to say what is my journey? I have many journeys. There's my spiritual journey, there's my personal growth journey, there's my relationship journey, and there's my understanding of who I am and my pure existence. So, yeah, I mean, one thing led to the other, as everyone's story is. And I ended up in not so nice relationships, again, with the foundation of my upbringing influencing my choices and the road that I ended up taking. Until here I am today, the Rania that I am, just navigating, healing. And while I'm healing, I'm helping others, trying to help them understand that they don't have to do this alone. That is the key here. And you mentioned that in the beginning, is that we're always hoping that we would help someone out there with the work that we do. But the work that we do, most of the time, is influenced by our story. And our story doesn't have to define us or identify us. I hate calling myself labels like I am this or I am that. I mean, I can sit here and tell you I am a survivor of narcissistic abuse. I can sit there, but that's not who I am. I can sit here and tell you I am a relationship coach, certified in this and certified in that, and I know how to do this and I'm skilled at that. Again, that's not who I am. Who I am at the core is the Rania that shows up knowing that there's someone out there who might benefit from why she's here, whether it be through my coaching, whether it be through what books I write, whether it be in my speaking events, whatever it may be, or perhaps in the podcast, right? So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk there, but I gave you a little bit and you get to pick out of it what you want to know more about.
Yeah. Let's start with you mentioned that you're still healing. What are you healing from?
Mm, that's a big question. That's a big question. I think we're always healing from something at some point in our lives because no matter how much healing we do, there's always another layer to be healed, even if it's from the exact same thing. So for me, I would say I am healing from not being unconditionally loved. That's a big one for me. And because I've experienced a lot of things in my life with that theme, I ended up showing up loving myself. And when I say loving myself, the self-love that we all talk about, it's not the it's not a superficial kind of let me love myself. It's more like take care of me now. Do what makes me happy, look after my needs, set my boundaries, all those lovely terms that we now know. I apply them in my day-to-day life. It's no longer just a language or knowledge from books. It's something I truly apply, and I heal every day by giving myself that love that I did not receive.
So I'm gonna go a little deeper now.
Ooh.
Unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
I have an idea. I kind of get. I know what that is, but would you mind explaining it to everybody what that is to you?
Well, from my perspective, of course, everyone has their own understanding, but I'm going to share my perspective. It's when you're just loved for existing, for being you, the purity of who you are, not what you do or don't do. It's you're loved no matter what. You're loved just because you're here. You're alive. You're you. And that's why you're loved. And every person deserves that unconditional love. Every single person on the face of this planet deserves that.
Thanks. And so you felt like you didn't have that? You didn't receive that?
I didn't, no. Growing up, no, I didn't. And in my relationships, I didn't.
Yeah. So the reason I'm asking is it's on the flip side, right? Most of the time it's the men saying that,
Hmm.
right? That we don't get that unconditional love. We have to show up in certain ways to get that love, right? And that's why, like my dog's laying down over there. That's why I'm pointing that direction. But that dog's unconditional love. They're wagging the tail all the time, no matter what, after you yell at them or whatever for doing something, right? So what was it that made you feel like that you didn't get that unconditional love?
It's not so much a feeling rather than facts that makes any sense. It's not just me sitting here analyzing and saying, that looks like it's not unconditional love. It's the way people treat you. Based on that, it's not an interpretation. It's you did this, and this is equals to you don't accept me for who I am. You don't love me for who I am. You don't love me no matter what. When people withhold their love or their affection based on whether you do what's accepted or not accepted, that's conditional love. I love you and accept you if you're like this. I love you or accept you if you do this. I love you or accept you if you do what I accept, right? These are the conditions. The moment love and acceptance isn't there because of who you choose to be, for myself, who I chose to be, then to me, that's a lack of unconditional love. So it's not a matter of perception or of me thinking or feeling, it's a fact.
So you didn't get that from your family and you didn't get it from your relationships thereafter. So what was it with your family that you didn't receive that you wound up carrying through your relationships?
It's simply me choosing to be who I am. Remember how I told you I was rebellious in the beginning?
Mhm.
So yeah, I rebelled because for the longest time I had to conform. I had to live up to a certain standard. Have to follow the rules, right? And the moment I stopped playing by the rules the moment I started to figure out, who is Rania? What does Rania want? What does Rania like? What do I want my life to be like? What about my choices? Well, maybe I want to choose this and not this. Well, I changed my mind about that. I want to do this. So, with every step along the way, I was fought. I was continuously fought. And it was a battle. And to me, life shouldn't be this hard. It should be, I mean, I shouldn't use the word should here, but it's more like we're free to make our choices as human beings on this earth. But when you're continuously being met with rules, you can't do this is not allowed, this is not accepted, then you're being put in a box. And I'm sure you know this, but when the more someone tries to stop you and have you conform in a box, the more you want to do what's outside of the box and the more you want to explore what's out of the box, because why should you stay in the box? Now, mind you, there are people who are totally okay with that. I'm not saying I'm the only person on the face of the planet who experienced this, right? Many have from different cultures as well. It's not just my culture. And even westernized culture, you can have that too. It's all about the upbringing and what the people and what the parents believe. If this is what they believe is right and they believe that this is love, they convince themselves that this is me loving my child by protecting them, by limiting them, by telling them what they're supposed to do. Do you understand what I mean? Then if that's their perception, they're totally convinced that they're not doing anything wrong or harmful to their child. Now, the child can just continue to conform. I just so happen to be the one that didn't conform and rebelled and asked questions and had to figure things out on my own and had to put my finger in the fire in order to know the fire burns, and on my face, back up, bruises and scars and all over, but I make it again and again and again and again until here I am today.
So you said how you rebelled with your family, but I'm curious, if you went into these relationships that weren't as good either, and you didn't get that unconditional love, how did you rebel and kind of find yourself? But now I would say that you found yourself trapped in a relationship then.
It's a very good question. And I think for people who never experienced what I experienced would wonder and say, well, if you didn't like this, why did you end up being in the same? Right? That's exactly what it is. And the answer is very simple. It's the familiar. You attract the familiar even if you attract toxic. So if you didn't get unconditional love growing up, you're going to end up attracting people who will also not give you unconditional love, even if it's the same thing that you don't like and you wish you would have had different. But you can't help it because it's your familiar. So without me going into science and all kinds of explanations here, it's all about the chemicals in our brains and our what we're used to, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost like an addiction. Someone that's addicted to something and they just can't help but continue be on the same path of that same addiction. And it seems like a path of self-destruction. But it takes a moment, an experience perhaps, a decision that the person chooses to break the cycle. But awareness has to come in first. Without awareness of the patterns, without awareness of the dysfunction, without the awareness that, hey, this was actually unconditional love all over. It took that awareness. No one is knowingly going to go from one situation to the next saying, yeah, I want to be with the people who would not give me unconditional love. It's not a conscious decision. We're doing it because we are unhealed. We're doing it because we don't know that we are repeating those patterns. It is only when we know that we have that pattern, we have a choice to continue down the same path and continue being the victim,
Mhm.
or to stop it right here, right now. See it for what it is. Sit with the painful experiences. Understand that a lot of the decisions that we took, we were self-sabotaging without knowing. We were ending up in toxic cycles. We did it to ourselves. We're not victims here. It's just that when you want to look back at it, you will see that it still wasn't your fault. Even if you were self-destructive, even if you did choose toxic, you didn't know what you were doing because you were unhealed. It is when you start to see the truth and you start to do the inner work, figure out, where did this come from? Why did I repeat those patterns? What made me attract those people? What is it in me that was broken? So someone that needed, in my situation, someone that just wanted to feel loved and accepted so badly, kept going after relationships or people that were showing in the beginning that that's what they're going to do for you, which is to replace what was once missing. So now you're feeling complete. Something is broken in you, something is missing. So now they're giving it to you and you're like, oh, finally, somebody loves me, you know? Somebody accepts me. And then it turns out this person is just doing the same thing to you because that's who you attracted to begin with. You're only going to attract what's in your energy field, even if it's what you don't want. Long answer. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. This is what people need to hear. So, how long for you, how many relationships or whatever, it took for you to say, I need to get out of this. I need to break this cycle. You saw the cycle, right? What time frame, was that for you?
Okay, well, let's say I started at the age of, well, let's say 20.
Okay.
At the age of 20, when I started on that attracting the wrong partner, till, well, it's not fair because in between there was some good ones. Not all of them were bad. It just never worked out. But
Wait, hold on, hold on. Now, there's good ones. Did you
uh,
see them as good ones then, or not till later?
at the moment, everybody's good. In the moment, everyone is good. It's when you self-reflect that you realize, oh no, oops, right? Again, it takes awareness. If you
Mhm.
don't know what you're into, you're blaming yourself. You think that there's something wrong with you, or you're just looking at whatever happened, and you're like, well, it's because of that, not because of you being with the wrong partner from the beginning. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, that only happened when the healing journey began, right? And I can share with you that my healing journey began right around the age of what, 42, 43.
Okay.
That's
So, how
when
many relationships roughly did it take to get through that?
the ones that were really toxic, like, and three of them.
Yeah. So, what was it that you said to yourself, "I gotta get out of this. This is not for me. This is not what I want."
John, now you're pushing on a very big button. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm here to speak the truth, right? So, yeah. All right. It was the very last relationship that broke me down to my knees. That very last relationship where mm, I had no idea what I was getting into, let's put it that way. And just to make a long story short, without getting into too much details, it was abusive in all ways. And it shook me. It shook me to my core. The good news is that while I was in this toxic relationship, I was learning about toxic relationships.
Mm.
If that makes any sense. I just so happened to be starting that journey of reading and watching videos and reading books and yeah. And so I was being educated, and then it was happening. And then while it was happening, I was like, oh my God, I'm living this. Oh right? And yeah, it was a very tough time. It was short, but for me, it felt like eternity because of everything that happened during that time. It was like, I don't even want to remember it, but of course I do remember because that's my work. I talk about that all the time. So it does come up.
Mm.
But yeah, so it was the last relationship, the last serious relationship that I was in. And I got myself out. And I'm very proud to say I got myself out. Nobody got me out. I did. I opened my eyes. I had a moment of clarity. I put a plan together. I asked for help and I got out safely. And since then, I am happy to report no more toxic relationships.
That's
That
good.
was the day when I walked out of that door. I promised myself I would never put myself through that again.
Mhm.
And here I am.
So what led you to start to explore what a toxic relationship was, or or just relationships itself before even determining that you're in it, right? What opened up your eyes to just like start diving into that stuff?
I had just started my coaching journey.
Okay.
It would just so happen to be I was getting certified as a relationship coach, and originally my focus was to work on helping couples reunite and get the chemistry back on, especially after they've had kids and they're no longer, you know what I'm saying, the marriage or the relationship is kind of dying down, and that was my focus throughout my coaching practice. And I was just doing that. So I was reading a lot. I was taking a lot of courses about relationship counseling, about behaviors, about patterns. And then I stumbled across narcissism. And that's when it all just went poof. My eyes just opened up. And I was like, oh my God, I am in a narcissistic relationship. Right? And I'm like, I'm not gonna be a statistic. I am definitely not gonna be a statistic. I'm gonna take charge of this. I'm gonna get myself out. And I didn't know that when I was getting myself out, that eventually I would pivot my direction in my coaching practice and start doing what I'm doing. I had no idea. It is after I started going through the process of healing is when I confronted myself with everything and where it came from, and let's go back now and heal unhealed childhood stuff that's been sitting there, and just doing the work, and one thing led to the next, and I decided to pivot.
Yeah. So you wanted to help people have a stronger relationship, marriages and stuff like that at the beginning. What was it that wanted you to do that first of all? Because did you feel like you were in a good relationship at the time that you could carry that out and help others?
I wasn't in a relationship at the time.
Oh, okay. All right.
My
Well,
relationship started.
I thought you I thought you were going through that when you found out that you were in a toxic relationship.
So I had started. So if to backtrack a little bit, I
Mhm.
had started the coaching journey before
Okay.
I ended up being in the toxic relationship,
Understood.
and then it pivoted.
Gotcha. I get it now. All right. Yeah. So now you're helping people, right? And you're helping people with the whole toxic relationships, right? That's how you're navigating at the moment. Are you having a hard time having people realize that they're in one, or they're not even like looking for help because they don't know they're in one?
Absolutely, John. And this is one of the reasons why, as an entrepreneur, you learn to also pivot your practice.
Mhm.
And when I originally started, there's so many pivots. Okay. So in the beginning, I mentioned to you my direction. Then my direction ended up being I want to help women who are stuck, who don't see what they're going through. I want to help them. And I still do. That's still what I really want to do because these are the ones that need help the most. However, I had to pivot again because exactly what you just mentioned and more. So, people who are in toxic relationships don't know that they are in a toxic relationship. They're so caught up in it. They're most likely isolated from the world. and their family and their friends, because their partner, and whether we're talking male or female here, goes both ways. Now, I help women mainly, but it happens both ways. They don't know because no one gets to know what really happens behind those closed doors, and no one can give them direction or an opinion about, hey, that's not normal. He shouldn't be doing this with you. She shouldn't be saying this to you. That's not okay. Right? So they're stuck in it emotionally, psychologically, and a lot of times financially. A lot of times when you are in a toxic relationship, and in particular narcissistic relationships, the individual who is narcissistic, the main thing for them is to have control over the person that they're with, their partner. That's the main thing here, control. And how do they control them? Well, I mentioned one of them, isolating them, right, from support and family. But they also prevent them from having their own financial stability, so that they can need them at all times. They cannot go anywhere and do anything without them. They have to stay in that toxic relationship, and that's where it comes from, the control. So if this person, my person that needs me, is stuck, doesn't know that they're in this, isolated, doesn't have any money to do anything, how can I help them? How can anyone other than myself doing this type of work can help them, other than showing up and creating podcasts, videos, books, articles that we hope and pray that they come across these people in their social media feed or whatever, and maybe something will spark their attention and say, oh no, my partner just said that or did that. So we have to give examples. You can't say, oh, are you with a narcissist? They don't know that they're with a narcissist. They don't know that. These are just labels. If we say, are you being love bombed or gaslighted? They don't know what love bombing is from gaslighting. But you have to explain it what it is. This is the behavior. Sure, this is the title to it. This is the label to it. It's just a label, okay? Or it's language. But at the end of the day, what is the action? What is the behavior? And what is the feeling? How do you feel as that woman, as that man who is being abused? I can say that you're being abused, but you don't know you're being abused. You just know it doesn't feel good. You just know that you're crying every day. You just know that you feel helpless. You just know that you had someone's hands was laid on you and violated, and boundaries, no respect. You understand what I mean? So it's all about the behavior and the actions, and that's what people like myself and others perhaps are reaching to this conclusion, realizing that as much as we would like to help the person in the toxic relationship, there's so much that we can do until they decide they want out, until they decide they need the help, and they can somehow, some way ask for that help.
Yeah, that's what this is all about, right? So you share your journey, and hopefully somebody listening to this can reach out to you for any help and advice on toxic relationships. Um, it is something I could see that it is difficult for people to realize they're in something, until they come across stuff like you mentioned, podcast clips or whatever, right? It's just it has to show up in their face, or it's going to take that one family member or friend that's close to them to say, hey, look, this is not a good relationship. And you have to listen to them, right? You know what I mean? Um, but then unfortunately, too, I would say that there are those people that just don't speak up either because they just let things go and they just keep their mouth shut. And, that's their relationship. I'm not getting involved. But usually for the most part, I would say it's a third party that could say, hey, I can, I want to just think about this a little bit, and that's, that's being you. You showing up as your authentic self and saying there's a problem. And then, on my end, if I was to say that, I have to realize that that person, my friend or whatever, would might cut me off, because they don't want to listen to me. So be it, right? Just hopefully nothing comes to backfire on the other side if they were in a toxic relationship. But, Rania, this has been great. So I know you're doing all this, helping people with toxic relationships. You have a podcast and everything else going on. So would you mind sharing a little bit about your podcast and then how people can connect and, how you can support them?
Yeah. So I created my journey of the Healing Train podcast with Rania again because I wanted to focus on raising awareness and of sharing other stories, other women's stories. Like I mentioned, I work with women mainly, but I do 100% understand that there are also men who are victims of this type of toxic relationships. But my focus is women. So I I started the podcast with the intention of talking about that, but then again, I pivoted. See what's going on with this pivoting, right? I pivoted it again while I was in the process of preparing the podcast, to be honest. Like the idea itself started as, oh, okay, I can do a podcast and talk about that again and bring other people to the show and they can talk about their experiences and how them being on the other side now after they've left it again, for people to relate that just because you're there now you're not doomed. There is life after. You can grow, you can heal, right? And that's what I wanted to do. But then I ended up talking about many other topics that are really valuable topics beyond toxic relationships. And it's going really good. I am excited. I find guests. I mean, I should say guests find me. I don't know. I think it's just the universe sending it to me because when you're aligned on your path, John, when you're aligned on your path, things work out in just miraculous and beautiful ways for you to continue doing the work that you're here for. And I believe that I'm going to continuously pivot. I'm going to continuously be guided. I'm going to continuously show up doing the best that I can in every moment of my life until I have breath in me. And yeah, so if you are someone out there who has a story and want to reach out to me, whether it be about toxic relationships or something that you need to heal from, because it is called the Healing Train podcast. So whatever it is you need to heal from, you can reach out to me and I can be reached at R2R coaching. That's my Instagram handle. So it's R, the number 2, R coaching. That's on Instagram, the easiest way to reach me. But also you can find me on healingtrain.ca, and that's for my podcast if you want to be a guest. You can send me an email at guest@healingtrain.ca. And that's pretty much it. And as far as my work right now, again, like I said, I pivoted and I'm now helping women in the healing journey. As much as I'd love to help her who's stuck in the relationship, but I realized that I'm banging my head against the wall, John. And I will still be there if that woman is out there and wants to talk to me about her exit strategy or about how to handle her feelings or even how to navigate being in a toxic relationship until you get out. Because that's a huge part that many people don't talk about. Everybody says, get out, get out, get out. It's either like you're in or you're out. But what about that in between phase? The in between phase when you just figuring out that, oh no, I need help, I need to get out, but you can't get out like, between one day and one night. It's a process. And to some people, it could take up to a year to plan their exit strategy to get out. It's not sometimes so simple. There are kids involved, right? The situation could be so complicated. Every situation is different, but I'm here to also help you through that phase of navigating being with that toxic individual who's probably also abusive, because I've been there. And I can guide you with how you can be, because it's not about them, because they're not going to change. It's about you now, how you can take that power back and find a way to stay safe until you can get out. So I'm definitely available for that kind of help as well. And then my main thing is the healing process. I'm all about the healing.
Yeah,
All about the healing, baby.
I love it. That's awesome.
Did you know that
Um,
healing was sexy?
no, what do you mean
Healing is very
sexy?
sexy. If you're a man right now coming to me and telling me, Rania, I'm healing, I'd be like, talk to me. Talk
Talk.
to me about your healing journey, my friend.
You have men coming to you saying that a lot.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so.
But hey, I'm putting it out there. If someone out there wants to come up to me and say, "Hey, Rania, I'm healing or I'm on my healing journey." All right, let's talk.
There you go. Yeah. And it is good. So, me talking to other men, sometimes might not say healing journey, right? But we
Yes.
just know they're in that process of doing great,
Yes.
and they're moving forward with whatever they're going through. So I have one question I ask everybody at the end. I'm sure you know what it is, but it's what are three key things you've learned and used along your journey?
3 key things. Oh my god. Okay. Number 1, you're not always right. You're not always right. You think you are, but yeah, keep on learning. Keep on learning. Sometimes you're the teacher and sometimes you're the student. And I believe that throughout our lives, we're always both. We're always both. That's one. And number 2, it's okay to love yourself. It's not selfish. It is definitely okay to love yourself in the many ways that you know how. Whatever that way is and what suits you, what resonates with you is your way. There is no one right way or wrong way. Just love yourself. And the third one, have fun with life. Just have fun. Don't take it too seriously. The same way how we're talking about a very heavy subject, but I'm trying to make it as light as possible, making jokes. It's not, yeah, when you're going through tough times, it's tough. But when we're just taking it easy and just having fun with it and enjoying the journey that we're on, that we're just continuously learning and growing, have fun. Live life to the fullest. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah, no, they're great. And so life can be hard at times because we have a lot of pressure, a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we have to have fun. We have to kind of like push some stuff aside and just like leave me alone, right? Um, and enjoy the moment, the present that we have at the moment. And don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Um, and just stay right there, right, and enjoy the fun. I would say, but yeah. And one more thing with the love yourself. That's one thing I think a lot of people might have a hard time thinking they do love themselves, but they really don't, right? You know, because I think most of us, I say us loosely as far as like a whole, are people pleasing in a way, right? And so we're not loving ourselves. We're trying to take care of somebody else and make sure that that love in that sense, right? Um, so yeah, and unfortunately for me, I had to go through some life-changing events. For other people, they probably had to do the same thing to kind of open up and go, okay, this is who I really am. I'm going to just be me. I'm going to love me for me, and somebody else is going to have to set me for me if they want it. Right. So, yeah, they're great. Thank you. And thank you for coming on. So, whoever's listening or watching this, make sure you check out Rania's podcast and, reach out to her if you need any assistance. So, thank you, Rania.
Thank you, John.